Hello again, and thank you for checking out THiNK Media TV, helping you move further, faster in media. Today, I'm doing a interview with Jesiah, and I'm super excited for this. I've followed him for a few years, and we're finally able to talk a little bit. Jesiah is a DJ, producer, graphic designer, singer, songwriter, musician, band member, Christ follower, blogger, video blogger, and just a general creative entrepreneur in his own right. How are you doing today, Jesiah?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing? Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm glad to have you here. And man, you do so much, and so I thought it would be great to have you answer some questions for the viewers of THiNK Media TV, so that they would be more inspired to make their ideas happen. So you do all this different stuff. Where did kind of the initial inspiration come for you to move forward with music and video blogs and these ideas that you've had to just make them happen?
You know, when I was younger, I was homeschooled, which was a big part of this, I think, because it taught me how to pick up things without someone teaching me. You know, you just kind of go at it and you learn it. You know, if you like it, if you enjoy it, have fun. So I was into computers when I was younger, and I started getting into music when I was about probably 16, and it just seemed right to mix both together, you know, and start I was recording myself before I knew how to play an instrument, and that's how I learned how to sing. I would record myself and listen to myself back, and you know, it just continued on and on with that, and I joined a worship team at my local church, the youth group worship team, and that's really where God started teaching me how to play music. And I can honestly say there was times during the youth group worship where I didn't know how to play the stuff I was playing on piano, and it was just like the Spirit of God moving through me. So it was really encouraging.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay, so you got started young, and then you've just done it ever since?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't think it's changed that much. I still, from back in the day, I used the computer and a keyboard, and these days I'm working on like big stuff with the computer and a keyboard. So I mean, the idea hasn't changed. I might have jumped up a few skill levels over the years, but really, I started pursuing like music production and stuff when I moved out to Oregon. Of 07, August of 07, I moved out to Oregon. I started touring around with my buddy Paul Wright, who was on Goatee Records, nationally known Christian artist. And so we toured around. I learned a lot, you know, just being around the other guys in the bands who have been doing it for many more years than myself. And I just kind of drifted more towards the production end, it seemed, a lot of times. But yeah, so that's where all the influences kind of came together, and I just kind of took that idea and went with it, because I like to do stuff myself and learn how to do it. I just took the basic ideas and said, hey, this can't be that hard to learn. Why not try it?
Cool. So this might be a little overlap with everything you just said, but you clearly you have an entrepreneur. I don't even know if I'd be able to say that. You're an entrepreneur. You have that spirit, and you can tell that because on Jesiah.com you've broken down all your projects into a big list, and there's 13 or something crazy. What are the things that you have in all of that stuff? How have you overcome kind of the fear of launching things and the fear and hesitation of putting your stuff out there? Because especially for people listening, I believe God has put something, an idea, a dream, something in everybody, but so many people are held back by fear, or they're held back by what are people going to think, and so they don't launch their ideas. They just keep them kind of inside. And you don't seem to be afraid to just launch a magazine, put out an album, release an MP3. What's kind of the core of that? How have you overcome that fear?
Well, I think it's less of a fear that a lot of times we have, and more of just a motivation, because really we say we want to do things, and we're not afraid to do it. I think it's just like, will you have the people around you that can help push you to remember to do it? Like when it comes to recording an album, finishing a song, sometimes we just kind of get lazy and we don't put in the work that needs to go into it. And if you just have the motivation, you put in the work, I mean, it's going to get out there. It might not be 100% successful. I know, like, a lot of times with myself, I go into like this cocoon mode where I don't talk to anybody for a week if I'm like working on something. I forget to eat dinner constantly because I'm recording a song or designing a website or, doing whatever. But I've always had like a joy for like marketing and figuring out how things work more than anything. I think that kind of goes into my creative, lifestyle, my character. Like, I like figuring out how things are created and how they work together. And so getting over the fear, I mean, if somebody did have any fear of it, I would just say, you have to work as hard as you can. The Bible teaches us to be good stewards and to do our best. So I've always taken that thought, and if I have an idea I think it's worth putting time into, I will try to learn all I can about where I'm going to be pitching this idea and do all the research that I can and then just go at it with everything.
Awesome. So your answer really is kind of work ethic, and to get ideas accomplished is to really just put time into them and get them done. Okay. So now here's a super important question. Who would win in a mixed martial arts fight between Adam Young from Owl City and Paul Wright from Root Down Sound? In your
Totally Chuck Norris.
Okay. He would just find a way to intervene in...
Yeah, pretty much. That's bottom line. That's the answer.
Is that Chuck Norris wins?
Chuck Norris wins always.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Next question. How many... now, many creative people have tons of ideas. This might be kind of reiteration, but, they have tons of ideas. They start a lot of projects, but they never publish them or finish them. You mentioned work ethic. You also mentioned having people around you to remind you to complete your ideas. But do you have any other tips when it comes to workflow to make ideas happen? Because creative people are normal. Even being a creative, I have a list of ideas and I've got all this stuff, and it's easy for me to start a whole lot of stuff, maybe not finish a bunch of stuff. What are just some tips, rapid fire, to get ideas done?
Well, let me gather that question for a second. Recently, this is something I've been putting into practice recently. I just got a ton of whiteboards. I've been like making to-do lists. Whenever I need to get something done on a deadline, I'll make a to-do list and it'll be on there. So it's just a quick little reminder. Remind me, hey man, you haven't crossed this out yet. You got to get to it. Even little things like returning my Netflix DVDs on that list.
Right.
But let me just point out a song, for instance. Even though getting it done is just as important, I always make sure that the song is a good song before I just say finish it. Because the chorus might be a great hook, it just might not have the right verse. I just recently had a song sitting around for a few months that I haven't finished because I just knew that the verse wasn't the right verse for it that could complement it. And I finally last week just finished it. It's going to be getting released pretty soon. New Inner Transit song.
Sweet.
But, I think in my mind getting stuff done is really more so important for me to just keep at it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's different for everybody. You have to set aside time, honestly. Like, large blocks of time work better for me than just jumping in and out, because every time I jump into something, it takes me that much more time to get back into that zone.
Sure.
Again, that's one of the reasons I always forget to eat dinner, because I'm in that zone, and midnight comes around and I realize, oh my gosh, I got to get up in 7 hours and I haven't eaten anything.
Right.
So, but yeah, there's not too much technique other than what Nike likes to say. Just do it.
Just do it.
Can we get in trouble for saying that?
That's a copyright. We're
copyright.
toast.
Thank you.
That's a good point, though. I mean, I think you said to-do list. I think an action list is pretty vital, because it is easy to let things come and go as quick as possible. And I know for me, if I write it down, I'll forget until I come back to that sticky note or whatever it is, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and then I get it done.
another great tool at our fingertips, Google Calendar. That saved my life so many times because I could just add the Google app to any cell phone I have, and it just updates the calendar with everything.
Nice. Okay, so you use that's great. That's good practical stuff right there. Okay, next question. So now, without even being critical, it's pretty clear that Christians in the church are oftentimes kind of behind, and for lack of a better word, extremely lame when it comes to media, creativity, and the arts. Why do you think that is? And what mindsets and thinkings and beliefs do you think are key to changing that in the church world and the Christian world?
Well, to start off, I think God is always relevant, no matter what day and age it is. There's that song, "My Savior, My God," that Aaron Schust wrote, and the lyrics for the verses are taken from a hymn that's 137 years old.
Right.
And he added a chorus to that song, and those words from that 137-year-old hymn were just as relevant back then as they are today.
Sure.
So I think as long as we can remember to seek the wisdom of what the church has done in the past and keep that in our forefront, I mean, really, I think what we're talking about here is repackaging things so it fits modern culture.
Right.
There was a study done on this guy was doing this marketing study at school, and he basically said, all right, we're going to see what we could sell with packaging. So what he did, he took garbage off the street of New York City and packaged it in a really cool plexiglass box and put a cool sticker on it. He was selling cool little mementos for $50 a piece, but it was just trash off the street that he picked off the street in New York City.
Right.
And it was just the proof that people will buy anything as long as it's packaged right, but they'll ignore it if it's not packaged right. So I think it's important for all, younger generations that they could receive the gospel in a package that's relevant to them today. I think there's, you don't want to go overboard and become a show, but you need to make it relevant, I think, or people won't open up as freely as they would, if it wasn't something that they could relate to.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm blown away. That's actually an awesome illustration. I love that.